At first glance, it sounds like every parent's nightmare, a college course called Human Sexuality. Well, it's the most popular course being taught at the University of Maryland. So we sent our national correspondent, Jamie Gangel, to sit in, and we should warn you that some of the language is graphic, so those of you with small children, you may want to send them out of the room for a couple of minutes. Jamie, with that warning in place, good morning.
Good morning, Matt. With 90% of college students having sexual relations, you would think they were experts. But it turns out they know very little and are not very responsible. This course hopes to change that. Sex on college campuses is nothing new, but it certainly has changed. Not too long ago, this was racy.
Maybe you'd like to slip into something more comfortable.
Well, no. And this was sex ed.
I'm not here to make a moral judgment, but you and I know that it was contracted through sexual intercourse.
Today, thanks to the sexual revolution and explicit pop culture overload, it seems everyone is doing it and very few are thinking about it. But at the University of Maryland, Dr. Robin Sawyer is on a mission to change that.
The reality is that STDs are pandemic on college campuses.
Welcome to Health 377, Human Sexuality. 90% of these kids are having sex, and you've said they can walk the walk, but they can't talk the talk.
They know very little about sexuality. Media often glamorizes sex, the internet, who knows what's on there. Parents, very difficult, don't feel comfortable, so really it's no surprise that they come to campus supposedly very sophisticated, but actually knowing very little.
Raised in England, a father of 4 daughters, the 55-year-old professor is a legend on campus.
All right, excuse my Freudian slip there.
Innovative and charismatic, his goal to educate and make his students more responsible.
I think if sex were an Olympic sport, Americans would win gold. And why? Because they're so good at it? Not necessarily. If you look at the objective barometer, highest teen pregnancy rate of any West industrialized nation, highest proportion of HIV/AIDS any West industrialized nation, highest proportion of STDs, sexually transmitted diseases, any West industrialized nation. I joke to my students, you're like the Nike ad, you just do it. But you know, it's alarming and it's scary, but it's all part of that invincibility of youth.
So sexy, it hurts.
Sawyer's greatest weapon, straight talk with a healthy dose of humor.
Now, every man in this room will know what I mean when I say this. There arrives at some point the point of no return, where you look at the cliff and it's like, oh! You're over the cliff and done.
It's okay to laugh in that class.
Actually, I make it a prerequisite. First day I said, if you don't have a sense of humor, this is not the place for you.
So, endometriosis.
But the syllabus is serious. Everything from HIV to birth control, date rape, and sexual dysfunction.
All right, taking a wild guess, what do you think the major sexual dysfunction in men is? Actually, erectile dysfunction is number 2. Let's have another go. Premature ejaculation.
Nothing is off limits, and Sawyer stresses communication.
Some poor unsuspecting male said how many women have faked it, and about 90% put their hands up. And then the guy sitting there doing the math like, oh my God.
Every class watches When Harry Met Sally, the classic scene on Faking It. As for critics who say such courses encourage sex, Sawyer disagrees.
People who think you're a sexuality educator so you're promoting sex, it's ridiculous. The American culture in general thinks if you don't talk about it, it'll go away. Every parent's dream, my child will get through to 27, get married as a virgin, and I won't have to think about anything. Well, would be, again, 4 daughters, I'd love that, but it's not going to happen.
At first, students admit the topics make them squirm, but Sawyer's style quickly disarms them. Sherry, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this class?
20.
20?
Yes.
Matt?
I'm up there.
Why is it so good?
He's not afraid to say what we're all afraid to say. And because he makes that environment exist in the classroom, everybody starts opening up their mouths, and you can't believe what is coming out of your mouth.
And we're like, I can't believe he just asked that question. But, you know, but deep inside, you know you wanted to know it too.
Dr. Sawyer say They walk the walk, but they can't really talk the talk.
You don't want to talk about it with your partner. You don't want to talk about it with your parents. You barely want to talk about it with your friends. And if you're talking about it with your friends, you're lying. So who are you being honest with? You know, so Dr. Sawyer helps us do that.
What have you gotten from the class?
One of the major things that I got out of is that, honestly, like the STDs that go around and how...
Sexually transmitted diseases.
Yeah, and just how much there are out there.
How frequent.
Yeah. And
scared the living daylights out of you.
Yeah, which I think was a good thing.
Every parent wants to know, has this class changed your behavior?
Yes.
How?
Much safer. It ain't worth it.
Yeah, it almost makes me never want to have sex again.
On a more realistic note, Sawyer says he hopes the course goes beyond human sexuality, that it is a life lesson.
My goal is that they have been exposed to information that will help them grow personally, personal sense of responsibility, a personal sense of their own sexuality rather than just being the I do it generation, and hopefully a little more maturity than when they came in.
And Matt, what more could a parent ask for than that their children gain a little more maturity? The students we talked to all agreed the class was a wake-up call, and they wish they had gotten this kind of straight talk in high school before they became so sexually active. Matt?
Jamie, what's the grading like? Is this an easy A? Is that why some kids take it?
Not at all. I looked at the final exam. He gives very few A's, but hopefully they're a little bit smarter in life.
You've got 12-year-old twins. Has, looking at that class changed the way you're going to deal with this topic with them?
I have to tell you, in their school, they're already dealing with this, but in most schools, they don't. And there's no question, you have to be honest about these things.
All right.
I like the kid who said she doesn't want to have sex anymore.
Yeah. Everybody lies on TV. All right, Jamie, thanks very much.
Sure.